Red and blue lights danced across the sleek black curves of my Tesla, turning my aunt's driveway into a surreal crime scene. I stood frozen, heart pounding, as two police officers marched toward me, their faces carved with suspicion. "Turn around, hands behind your back," one barked, his voice slicing through the humid evening air. Cold handcuffs snapped around my wrists before I could process what was happening. Across the street, Laura Mitchell, the HOA president, leaned against her spotless white SUV, arms crossed, a smug grin twisting her lips. "That's him, officers. I told you no kid his age owns a car like that legally," she shouted, loud enough for the neighbors peeking from their windows to hear. I was Ethan Carter, 19, and my dream car had just landed me in a nightmare. 3 years ago, I was just a high school sophomore hunched over a beat-up laptop in my parents' basement, teaching myself coding while my friends partied. I built websites, mastered SEO, and turned a favor from my uncle's plumbing business into a thriving online marketing gig. By senior year, I was out earning my teachers, but I kept it quiet no one needed to know. I saved every penny, skipped prom, and worked 80-hour weeks to buy my Tesla Model 3, a shiny symbol of my grind. Driving it off the lot 2 weeks before graduation felt like flying. But now, parked in my Aunt Sarah's driveway in upscale Crestwood Estates, it was EVY Denke in a crime I didn't commit. I'd only been staying with Sarah for 3 weeks while my parents renovated our house. Crestwood was all manicured lawns and nosy neighbors, and Laura Mitchell ruled it like a queen. Mid-50s, always in pastel pantsuits, her highlighted hair defying JRAVY tie, she enforced HOA rules with a dictator's zeal. It started with her staring at me from her driveway, eyes narrowing as I waved. Then came the photo snap pictures whenever I parked in a VY cider spot. I thought she was just curious about a teenager with a Tesla, but soon I overheard her grilling my neighbor. "What does a kid afford that car? Suspicious VY ciders at night?" Her questions dripped with accusation. The harassment escalated. Violation notices arrived daily. Sarah's hedges were too tall. My car was 2 inches over the line. Laura's crusade peaked at the community pool one Saturday. I was working on my laptop, soaking up the sun, when she stormed over with 2 HOA board members trailing like minions. "How does a teenager afford a Tesla?" she demanded, voice booming. "Drugs or theft, that's the only way." Parents pulled their kids closer. Teens snickered. My face burned as I grabbed my stuff and fled, her words echoing behind me. That night, neighbors who'd once smiled now avoided my gaze. I tried reasoning with her, showing up at her door with my business license, tax forms, and Tesla title. "Ms. Mitchell, my business is legit. Here's proof," I said, holding out the papers. She barely glanced at them. "Fakes are easy to make. If you're honest, why so defensive?" Her thin smile chilled me. "The HOA's meeting to discuss suspicious non-residents. Be there." It wasn't an offer, it was a threat. I left, vowing to ride out my stay until Sarah's house was mine again. 3 days later, I pulled in the driveway after a grocery run to find 2 police cruisers waiting. An officer approached, hand on his holster. "We've got a report of a stolen Tesla matching this one," he said. I laughed, thinking it was a mix-up. "Officer, it's mine. I have the title inside." But then I saw Laura, phone out, filming me like a trophy hunter. "The complainant says she saw you hot-wiring it 3 days ago," the officer continued. "We're detaining you." Handcuffs clicked, and reality hit. Laura had filed a false report to ruin me. Neighbors gawked, whispering, knew he was trouble. Even Sarah, rushing out in gardening gloves, looked unsure. As the cruiser drove off, Laura's triumphant smirk burned into my brain. The police station was a blur of hard chairs and endless questions. I laid out my story, the SEO business I built from scratch, the bank statements, the Tesla purchase. The detective, skeptical at first, softened as I showed client reviews and website analytics. "You made 6 figures in high school?" he asked, eyebrow raised. "Yes, sir. Every dollar's legal," I replied. Sarah emailed doorbell footage showing me unlocking the Tesla with my key fob on the day Laura claimed I stole it. The detective sighed. "Mitchell's story doesn't add up. She's filed false reports before. After verifying my purchase with the dealership, he set me free. We may need a statement about her false report, he added. Back in Crestwood, the tide turned. Laura was arrested for filing a false report, a misdemeanor with harassment charges looming. The HOA board ousted her in a fiery emergency meeting. Neighbors, silent for years under her reign, erupted. Michael, a lawyer, launched a petition to bar her from the HOA. Barbara, a retired judge, helped document her past abuses targeting a family's holiday lights, blocking a wheelchair ramp. The group chat buzzed with apologies and outrage. We let her bully us too long, Sarah said. My arrest, a public spectacle, had exposed Laura's tyranny. Barbara pulled me aside after the meeting. Your story could inspire kids facing the same judgment, she said. Ever thought about sharing it? Her words stuck. That night, I wrote out my ordeal, from Laura's first glare to her arrest. Borrowing Sarah's camera, I recorded my story, keeping it raw and real. I uploaded it, expecting a few VYUs from neighbors. By morning, it had 50,000. Comments poured in. Young entrepreneurs, minorities, anyone judged for their success shared their pain. A 17-year-old wrote, I bought my dream car, and security tails me everywhere. A 22-year-old app developer said neighbors called cops, assuming she ran an illegal business. My story wasn't just mine anymore. Media swarmed. Local news called it an HOA horror story. National outlets dove into ageism and digital-era success. My subscriber count hit 100,000, and I started videos on building businesses and facing bias. My Tesla, once Laura's proof of my crime, starred in every clip, a symbol of hard-won Tory. At Laura's hearing, I watched her sit, deflated, as he density documents, Sarah's footage, neighbors' testimonies piled against her. Her glance at me held no anger, just confusion, like she couldn't grasp her own fall. A reporter cornered me outside. Your video is huge. How's it feel to flip this nightmare? I paused. I didn't want Laura's trouble, but I chose to share my truth to help others. Success challenges assumptions, age, background, whatever. I want to change that mindset. Back at Sarah's, I parked my Tesla in the open, keys in hand. The car that sparked this mess now stood proud. Neighbors waved, no longer judging. My platform, born from humiliation, gave me purpose. I wasn't grateful for Laura's cruelty, but for what it revealed, prejudice's power and the greater strength of standing tall. What do you think? Can a teenager really earn a Tesla legally, or was Laura right to suspect me? Should HOAs have this much power over neighbors? Would you have fought back like I did or walked away? Drop your thoughts below, hit like if you're with me, and subscribe for more stories that challenge the status quo.